a long time ago in a manual far, far too large. It is a period of great iconographic war, each symbol vying for control over the galaxy to be the dominant explanatory image. The true victims of the war, however, not the symbols lost to understanding between plays, but the poor souls I currently have to teach this game to. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are reviewing the monolithic board game, the giant box game Voidfall. Very anticipated. From Mindclash Games. Voidfall is a space empire building game that takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours depending on player count. It features a hodgepodge of various mechanics like area control, hand management, variable use cards, and a host of other mechanisms, all doing their best to fuse together to provide you a quality, point salad space opera epic. On your turn, you'll select one of the 9 focus cards in your hand, and then start performing 2 of the 3 actions available on the card in any order you wish. Conquer other systems, expand your economy, hoard resources, research game-breaking technologies, or try to root out the landslide of corruption plaguing your empire, because even space governments are evil. You'll do all of this till the end of the 3rd cycle, hopefully scoring enough points through your agenda cards at the end of every cycle to win the game and be the most dominant faction in the galaxy. We primarily played this as a 2-player game. It was mostly just you and I. We kind of played it religiously for like a month straight.
And because it's so hard to teach, we didn't want to teach more.
Yeah, I just didn't want to teach more and more people. So I was like, let's just keep playing this as a 2-player game. But it was pretty much like the only game we played for an entire month. You loved it. You loved playing it every single day. It was like, you can't eat. We don't have time to eat. We have to play Voidfall today. So I have no idea how reviewers got this thing out so quickly, like the reviews, because like there's so much to cover that even I felt bad, and I don't even know how many times we played. I feel like we haven't covered enough.
And the game takes so long.
So we didn't want to play 4-player very often.
We didn't have friends that wanted to.
We didn't have friends who wanted to play Voidfall. It was too long. They're like, no, we don't want to do that. What are 5 things that we love about this game? I would say the first one, and I don't think we've ever covered this before, the manuals in this game. Which is strange because professionally, I work as a technical writer. So I make video documentation and I write manuals. And we've never actually covered manuals. They're so well laid out. I'm very impressed with them, especially, you know, from a technical writer perspective. But
no one else has that perspective.
Nobody else has that perspective.
Nobody else cares.
Nobody else cares. Nobody else cares. But there are going to be people who are like, oh, there's going to be 2 camps. There's going to be some people who are salivating at the idea of jumping into these like giant friggin' booklets and just gorging on all this information. I have to tell it's like copium. I have to tell myself that to think that people actually read the manuals that I write. And there's going to be the other camp. For if you're a new player and you see these manuals and they're all like stacked up like this, and you're like, I have to go through this. It's going to be daunting. It's going to be really frightening. But they're really well laid out. They did the best they could for all the information that they had to give, and they're not that bad. And then the next up is theme. I really like the theme of this game. I thought it was going to be particularly dry, Euro point salad type thing, but I think the theme shines through with a lot of the actions that you do. Little things are abstract, but most things feel like the thing they're supposed to, which is nice. You know, when you take a trade token, it feels really strange. It's like, what does this have to do with anything? But then when you realize what you're using the trade token for, it feels like trade. It feels like you're engaging with the board and the world.
Agree to an extent. I do feel like this game has a really good theme, and I feel like, especially in board games, because it's not like a book or a movie where they can give you enough like background information and context, and you can kind of see different things or understand, you know, like the world. So it's really hard to build an immersive new world, I'd say, in board games. Very often, what happens with a lot of games we play is that the theme is kind of something it feels like it's slapped on, but this game did a really good job.
Yeah,
I felt like. I mean, I won't lie. The first time we played, I probably was still like, I don't understand the theme, don't understand like.
You have no time for theme. When you're first learning this game, it's just like
this bombardment
of information. Stuff. You're just like, I'm in space. Yeah, whatever. Okay, what's this symbol mean?
I'd say theme comes into play like at least after your second or third game.
Yeah.
Then you actually have the time to enjoy and absorb all the different elements and how it thematically makes sense.
And then I think the other thing we really loved was choices. Kim and I like to play more complex games. You know, we like lighter games.
We love tic-tac-toe.
We love tic-tac-toe and Connect 4, but primarily we like big, heavy, meaty games. And that's what this is. It's a game that like completely just drenches you in options and choices. And this is where it's going to be very divisive for a lot of people, because there are going to be individuals who just they love it. They're salivating at the idea of just being overwhelmed.
You love the word salivating, don't you?
I love the word salivating, drooling, whatever you want. But there's going to be a lot of people that love that. But on the flip side, there's going to be people who hate it, who think like, I don't need this many options just like coming at me at every single time. Because when you start playing, you have 9 cards. And in those 9 cards are 3 actions you can perform on each card. So you pick a card for the round, and then you have to pick 2 of the 3 actions. And then if you play a trade token, well, you can play 3 of those actions. And then if you use one of your agenda cards, you're playing 4 actions, and you decide the order. So it's tough.
It's like going to a buffet. If you've never had seafood, never had pizza, you never had salad, it's like, oh my God, there's so many options. But once you know what you like, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go there to get
Or
there.
what you just need, like some things you just like you need to do. So like sometimes you're playing so sometimes you're playing the game and there's like a bunch of things you could do, but you can't. Like you don't have the resources to do this action. So it starts narrowing down pretty well. So
But that takes like time and understanding,
It does.
using your resources and stuff like that. Because like before then, you're just like, okay, which cards have options to? And I think that's a tutorial version of this game, and that's what we played.
it was
the
pretty
first
good.
time.
I was pretty impressed.
And that, I think, really helped us learn. Because it limits the number of cards you have in your hand. It limits like what you get to play. And even though I didn't like the idea of a limiting factor,
it was needed.
yeah. Because there's so many, like a lot of complex games, there's a resource production track and there's fighting. There's a lot of different levels and layers to it. And there's a lot of things for you like to remember and to like balance in your mind.
Yeah. And the other thing we really love is the interaction. And this is an interesting one. We talked about this a few nights ago and how it feels as though all we did is Voidfall. We talked about Voidfall in bed. We played Voidfall during the day. We ate Voidfall. We pooped Voidfall. Or I did. It was a very uncomfortable poop. Let's just cut that. But yeah, we discussed this earlier. And basically what we came to the conclusion was that like, when you first start playing Voidfall, it feels as if there's no interaction. And that makes sense. And it started making sense
for any game.
It does. It is. And it started making sense when I started watching the odd review of the game, and I heard people saying like, "There's no interaction in this game," and I thought, you only played it 1 or 2 times, because that is how it feels when you first start playing the game. There is no interaction. Like we don't have time. I don't have time to think about what you're doing.
Actually, I would take that a step further to say it's not necessarily that's one component for sure. But the other reason I'd say is the strategy. Because there's certain strategies that you can go for that is very little interaction.
That's true too. Yeah. That's true too. And yeah, because like the game is designed to encourage interaction. There is a reason why the center...
Interaction is a very positive word for what you're about to say.
Well, aggression. There's a reason the center of the board is always contains tiles that are really, really good. Because the designers want you to push towards those tiles and then, fight for them.
If only if your strategy is to kind of like conquer, colonize, is that the right word?
Conquer, colonize, destroy, exploit. But you're doing whatever you can to get those resources. And the fun thing is that like you don't have to do that either. If you want to bunker down and sort of focus on your economy and not really care, about those other things and engage in warfare, you can do that too.
You can do it to an extent. Like a lot of my strategies when I played was often about going very heavy on increasing my production tracks.
Yeah.
And in order to increase production track, you need to place these gears down on a tile. But each tile most tiles limited to like 2 or 3 gears. You do have to expand to get more tiles.
Yeah, even if you're turtling and bunkering down and doing your own thing, you still have to be aware of what other people are doing because they can encroach on your areas.
You can't fully ignore that.
No,
basically. You can't. You can focus on something, but you can't fully ignore the other tracks.
Exactly. And there's still other ways to interact. Like once you get a hold of the game and you start understanding things, you'll see that like even the technologies are specifically curated for the play experience of the specific scenario that you're playing, right? So those technologies will benefit you immensely if you get them first. And so now I'm looking over the other players, I'm like, okay, he's going for an economic strat. I should probably scoop up that technology before he does. And that's really important. And like I said, if you are first starting to play this game, you're not paying attention to that.
This is why we can't play with new players. Because new players will have they will have no knowledge on the types of different strategies and the end game objectives.
We're not savage. It's not like we go in hard. It's not like, oh, welcome, Bob, to our game experience. Here's how you play the game.
Said I like how you say that, and you're literally the person that like goes ham.
Yeah, it's true. I'm savage. I'm lying. It's trial by fire. Sink or swim.
Yeah, like our friends that played for the first time, like they did really well in like
did
over
well.
100 points, and then you had like over 200 points. Like you didn't
crush them.
So annoying.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women. Conan applies to space and everything in life. And the final thing we love, and the thing we love, at least the thing I love the most, is the variability in the game. There is a ton of variability. There are so many technologies. The scenario book is massive, and there's different scenarios for the player counts, and how aggressive you want to be, how complex you want the game to be. There's like how many races? 14? I think there's like 14 races, and each race has like 2 different ways to play. It's a lot, and it's a lot. But I love it. I love something like that because I think I'm often the type of player who plays a game, and then sometimes I get in like a decision rut where I feel like
you found the strat that works.
Yeah, and it just feels like I'm playing the same type of game every single time, and and it's my own fault, I guess.
It's Oasis' fault.
I feel like I can't break free of that. I feel like, okay, I have to do this because I did this last time, and then...
Stop blaming games for you being a creature of habit.
It's true. But this game, you can't do that. It's not possible to do that. There's just so much stuff here that it's just like, it demands you play differently every time.
If you're willing to be flexible and change your strategy from what you initially started the game thinking, you can do very well.
Yeah, and it's a light guidance system too, like the factions, the technologies. I don't like when a developer, when designers sort of like say, you're this race and you're this race and you like to mine, just go out and mine. And you just kind of go out and do that. This game is like, it's slight guides, it's like a nudge. Go try this, go try this.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like the technologies in general felt like the best thing because you can combine them in different sorts of ways.
Yeah.
Like you can find one technology that's great for like combat, whether it's being the attacker or the defender, and then you can find an agenda that's like great for growing the specific production track.
Yeah, it's like it's the perfect merging of strategy and tactics. Tactics being like the short-term strategy that you employ and like adaptation to what's happening on the board, and then strategy being like you start the game, you're like, okay, I think I'm gonna go on this path and I'm gonna try to do this, and it's really cool, and it just it feels great. It just feels like a new game every single time, and that's why we played it all the time. But it's all not sunshine and roses. There are things that we dislike about this game. First and foremost...
Play with Mike.
No. First and foremost, teaching this game. Teaching this game, when I first start teaching this game, it makes me feel like I'm some sort of weird, whacked out schizo conspiracy theorist in front of a whiteboard being like, and this connects to this, and then if you're not doing this right, then you got to do this, and then, oh shoot, I forgot about this. So this is here, like, it's insane. And you get 2 types of reactions from people when you're teaching. You either get this look, which is like, they just stop paying attention. They just start spacing out. They whip out their phone. They're no longer listening.
Hey, I put my phone away when people are teaching.
True. Or you get this look where they're like, you're talking, and about halfway through, they think you're just about wrapped up and done, and you're like, oh, I know, I got 3/4 of the way to go, and their look is like.
Yeah, it's also that was me when we first got taught this game. It's just like I have never had that experience. Maybe because I zone out so much that I've never had the experience where it's like, okay, I feel like I've got some of the game, and he's like, okay, there's half more of this to go. Like, it's
a tough hurdle. It's a tough hurdle. And again, if you're trying to make a purchasing decision here, if you're playing with a dedicated group of friends and they all have similar interests to you, and it's the same people all the time, then this isn't a big deal because you're.
No, it's an easy choice to get this game.
The other thing to dislike about this game is the setup. It's insane. When you first set this game up, okay, and you're just learning it, it's going to take you about an hour. It's going to take you an hour. Flipping through the scenarios, figuring out what everything means.
I think it'll take more than an hour. If you're reading the book and setting up the board at the same time, yeah.
It's rough. I've heard a few reviewers say that it doesn't reduce in time the more you play it. They're wrong. They're wrong. It does reduce in time. Not a ton, but it does. No, it did reduce quite a bit. Like, I was down to about 30 minutes. I think there was a couple setups where I think it might have taken about 20. And, if you're, again, playing with that dedicated group of friends and they know how to play, they can help set up too. And you'll probably get it done maybe in 10 minutes. She's never going to set up. But you can convince other people to set this up. But this is something you need to know, okay? This isn't a game. We talked about this in a different review. We called it Whip Out Ability.
It's about a bit of...
This game does not have Whip Out Ability.
Whip out a bit.
Whip Out Ability. Whip Out Ability is a game's...
How likely you are to whip out this game.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
any
you know, you're
game
deciding,
day,
you know, you got that point in the night where you're looking at each other and like, well, what game should we play? This is not the game you're probably going to suggest. This is a game where, like, you know your buddies are coming, so you have this game already
Is this
set up.
a very low ability score? Because it's a pre-planned game. Like, you know you're going to play this game before you play this game.
It's not
like, let's turn around and be like, oh, let's take this. No.
You're not perusing your shelves and saying, like, I guess Voidfall. Okay, it's not like playing Longshot or some sort of party game. It's a somewhat of an event game. It's not like Twilight Imperium or anything. It's not like 6 hours, 7 hours, but it's a chunk of time. Like, this might be your evening. And so setup's a bear. It's a bear, so keep that in mind. If you're rich, just hire somebody. Just hire a slave. Not a slave, hire a servant. Slavery is bad. Hire a servant.
Say, just pay your kid $10.
Yeah, what about Molly Maid? You tell me that Molly Maid service, they don't have like, oh my God, business idea. Board game setup people. And you hire them and they come over, they set the game up and they teach you the game. And you can hire them. Oh my God, they do this.
They play with you.
They do this in Dungeons and Dragons for like a Dungeon Master. Like you could hire Dungeon Masters. And they come over and they do all that stuff. It could be like a board game tutorial guy. And he comes in and he sets the game up for you and teaches it. Oh my, don't take this. That's my business idea. That's $1 million business idea. To Patreon. And the other thing to dislike, and you've probably seen this before if you've even taken like just a glance at the manual, is the symbols. The symbols, you are drowning in symbology in this game. It is bonkers. The symbol book was like, I think it's 5 pages. I think it's 5 pages filled with symbols.
Yeah.
And okay. They are beautiful. They look really good. And most of them, I think, how would you feel with this? Most of them feel intuitive.
I don't hate the symbols. Unpopular opinion. I think it's actually really, really well done, and I love the symbols in this game. There's barely any words. Like a lot of these agenda cards, no words. Just numbers and symbols. And
that's true. It is language independent. I guess that is a good thing.
Yeah, you know what, Kim, but I talk about this in a lot of different games and why I like games. Like, if you have friends, or even if you yourself are not like
English second language.
Yeah. Right. Like a lot of war games have to be in English,
except for the technologies.
Yeah, but even then, it's like if this, then this. Like basic logic statements, right? And I think after the second game or so, I stopped referring to the symbol cheat sheet book. Once you recognize them, it's like, oh, this is so easy.
Yeah. So it's a minor quibble. But when you're first starting to play, you're gonna be overwhelmed. And in conclusion, I think it's just such a cool game, and it really does feel like that both the designers were like, fuck it, let's just design this really awesome game, like kids in a sandbox building a wicked giant castle, and you can feel it. And there's just so much content in this game. But you can tell that it's put in with love. You can tell that this is a labor of love. And I have no doubt, I haven't looked it up, but I have no doubt this probably took years and years of development time. And it shows. Nothing feels like tacked on nonsense like you get in some Kickstarters like Bloat. It all feels purposely driven. And it's just, they swung with the fences for this game, and I really appreciate that. And the coolest thing is that you can totally tell that this is gonna be a game where some people they're gonna love. And they're gonna say, this is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be other people who are gonna say, this is the game that I hate the most. And that's awesome. Because I am so tired of mediocrity. I'm so tired of designers designing games to just appeal to everybody. You know, not every game needs to appeal to your grandpa, your granddaughter, and Joe down the road. They should be tailor-made for certain people, and that's what this game is. And that's what's wonderful. And I think that's why I would give this game a solid 9. A solid 9.
Wow.
I was pushing towards a 10, but there are some minor things. Like the learning curve is really steep. You know, it is a little long, but it's a great game. It's a great game, and I love it.
It was a really well done game. I have if not no complaints about it. I'm sure once we play it 100 more times, I might have more complaints, or might have some complaints. But right now, my biggest complaint is that it takes really long. I don't blame that. I don't blame the game for that. I blame Mike for taking a long time.
It's not my fault.
I would also give this game a 9.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely one that I can see us keeping for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna know better what your tastes are and whether or not you can stomach this amount of stuff. And if you can't, then this game isn't for you. But if you can, and like I said, you are salivating.
If you like a bit more
At the
complex
idea.
games, like absolutely.
Yeah, definitely give it a try. That about wraps it up. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed our review. If you don't, let us know. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Peace.